Hey guys, what's up? Lauren Golden here. In today's video, we're talking about being yourself in order to get more clients. And in the spirit of doing so, I thought it was really important to start by showing you that my office is not this beautiful thing with this backdrop. I've got stuff everywhere, clutter. I mean, the chair is literally in the middle of the floor. I got boxes still left over from Free Mama Live. Like, what you see on the internet is not always what you get. Okay, my friends. And so we're just going to get honest in today's conversation because I have built a business where I get to be more myself than I actually am in my real life sometimes. And that has been so incredibly freeing. And I want you to experience what that can bring for you too, because not only is there a level of freedom and peace that comes through getting to just be yourself, but it's also a really good way to get more clients. Okay, so recently I was on a coaching call and my amazing student, very vulnerably in front of a group of other people, by the way, shared with all of us that her biggest fear about marketing her business, about putting herself out there on social media, in person, whatever, and just kind of talking about what she was doing was that she was afraid that people were going to realize that she didn't have it together all the time. And in that moment, my heart broke for her because how exhausting to even pretend that we have any idea what the heck any of us are doing. Okay. The more together someone looks online to me, and this is why Instagram is like, I have a love-hate relationship with Instagram because I feel like it's the most polished of the platforms. It's the most filtered. It does not give a real look at anybody's life. It does not give you any accurate insight into anything, but we forget this. And so I felt so just my heart went out for this person because perfect does not exist. It is an illusion. And even if perfect did exist, you guys, it's subjective. What I really like, someone else might not like. And so what's interesting is that this thing that so many of us are afraid of, this idea of showing our true selves or being ourselves or like expressing who we really are on the inside, this thing we're afraid of actually can be our superpower. But what you have to understand comes with it is that in order for you to have raving fans, people who really like you, who want to hire you, who want to work with you, who are attracted to you, from a business standpoint or a community or leadership standpoint, it by definition means that there are going to be people who don't like you. And so we've got to get some thick skin around it. And we've got to understand that if we want to be successful in business, we want to find clients, we want to make money, we want to, again, attract these people to work with us, then the other side of that coin is that there's going to be people who just don't get it. Believe it or not, there are people out there who don't like Britney Spears. I know, I do not understand because she is like my spirit animal. Something else that everyone in my audience knows about me is like, I love iced coffee. I do not like hot beverages. I drink iced coffee and I talk about it. So it might seem weird, but the people who actually follow me and the Free Mama and buy things from me, they know these little quirks about me. They know that I'm loud. They know that I love to talk. And there are people who probably think I'm annoying. Someone's probably going to write it on this video, quite frankly. And you know what? I don't care because I'm being me, and being me is going to give other people, number one, permission to be themselves, but it's also going to attract the people who do like me for who I really am. And at the end of the day, that's a massive win because I don't really care about working with people that don't like me, and you shouldn't either. Okay. So number one, it's exhausting to pretend to be someone else. And it's not your fault. I recently was on a coaching call with one of my mindset coaches. She's amazing. And we were talking about how, over the last 7 years, I've done so much personal development to be comfortable just being myself. In fact, I was telling her, I'm probably most myself in kind of this Free Mama community because I created it really kind of rejecting this idea of I'm going to care about what other people think about me. Because if you didn't know that about me, I almost didn't start the Free Mama because of that one fear. Some people are afraid of failure. Some people are afraid of success. I was paralyzed by the thought of what other people were going to think about me and say about me and whatever. And I remember when I first met with my very first business coach, and she asked me like, what is the one thing that would prevent you from being successful? And I said, well, I'm really
scared about what other people are going to think about what I'm doing.
And she's like, you are afraid of what people, strangers on the internet think about you. And I was like,
No, I mean, I hadn't even thought about that really. I'm afraid of what people I went to high school or college, like I'm afraid of what these people are going to think about me.
And for a long time, I almost didn't even pursue this dream of mine to help other people and have an impact and change my family's life because of that fear. And so over the last 7 years, like I've really rewritten my story and my belief. And I built this community out of a rejection of that fear. Like I felt it, but I was like, I'm going to do it in spite of that. And so I was talking to my mindset coach the other day, and we were talking about how sometimes like I hate the word authentic because it's so overused, but she was saying like, you so know who you are and you're so okay with being that out in the world. But I was telling her, I always have this kind of conflict. And sometimes it comes out when I go talk to my therapist. And I was telling my therapist recently, like I'll tell her something and I mean it. Like it is my truth. It is honest. It is my true self, for better or for worse. And in the same breath, I'll be like, but is that normal? Like, are other people like that? Like, is that like whatever? And I was talking to my mindset coach and she was like, yeah, there's a word for that. And it's a basic human need. And that basic human need is acceptance. And so I was talking to her and she's like, it's interesting because most people will sacrifice their authenticity for acceptance. And we start doing this, you guys, as kids. As a kid, we start not being who we are because we want to fit in, because we want to be normal, because we want to be accepted by our peers and fit and play the role that society tells us, what box we're supposed to be in. And again, this happens at a really young age. It happens in our families. It happens at schools. It happens in our friend groups and our churches and wherever. And so on the one hand, there's acceptance. And on a basic human level, we need this. We need to feel a part of the tribe. We don't want to be rejected. Okay. But on the other side is authenticity. And so how can we be ourselves and be accepted? And I believe, and I feel like my story has kind of shown this through the Free Mama, is like, and by the way, like the bank account follows, is the more I am true to myself and the more I'm out there and willing to talk about it, and not just quirks like coffee and fuzzy socks and Britney Spears. And that's really cool. And that shows my personality. And I show my personality, hopefully in these videos too. Right. But like, not just that, but also talking about the hard things. I talk about when I fail. I talk about when I launch stuff and it doesn't work. I talk about when my family is struggling. I talk about just any misstep that I made. I talk about my low points. I talked about how I felt depressed at the end of the year of 2021. I talked about how I went and got a therapist. I shared these things, these very vulnerable yet very authentic things. And as a result, people are drawn to me. Everyone? No, because you just can't please everybody. It's not possible. Remember, you can't have the raving fans. You can't have the people who want to buy from you and work with you, and the people and not have people hate you. It's two sides of the same coin. But by being brave enough to share my truths, I attract more people to me. And again, the sales follow. So that's kind of the preachy portion of this. I would love to talk to you about a couple of things that are a little more tangible for you to take away about why being yourself. Again, if you're quirky, be quirky. If you are super professional, be super, like use that language. If you're intense, be intense. If you're playful, be playful. Like you have to be your personality, or people are going to know, and people are not going to like you no matter what. So you might as well be yourself, because there's nothing freer than just getting to be and not being for the sake of being accepted. Okay, the first reason it's important to be yourself, that's a little more tactical, that has this tangible outcome, is that when you're yourself, you are going to best communicate and exemplify your interests, your values, and therefore you're going to connect with people who share those things. So I'm pretty outspoken about my values. Our core values at the Free Mama, I can tell you, everyone on my team could probably recite them to you. It's follow through, which or integrity, which to me is like doing what you say you're going to do, and the walk and the walk and talking the talk, and making sure those two things are in alignment. That is extremely important to me. I do not tend to build connection with people who don't exhibit that very quickly. And I tend to attract people who like and trust that about me. Urgency, which I define as treating people and things with significance. That's how I define urgency. Courtesy, which is treating everybody you come across with respect. And again, I would also say significance. And putting a bow on it, which is exceeding people's expectations, over delivering, and not just, we don't just do the bare minimum. And this is how I live my life. These are my values that came through in my business. And again, the way that I show up, the way that I'm myself, I exhibit those values, and therefore I connect with other people. If your faith is important to you, you should be talking about it online and in your business. If you curse all the time, cool, go do that in your branding, in your business. It's not for me, but you are going to attract the people who it is for. So don't be afraid to be isolating and polarizing as long as it's you. Okay. If you try to please everybody, you're going to please nobody. But if you are true to yourself and your values and your interests, then you're going to be good to go. Okay. The second reason you want to show up as yourself is because if you're out there trying to be someone else, you're going to be extremely, what's the word I want to use? My dang vocabulary. Impressionable. You're going to be very impressionable. I'm not one with the words. I use thesaurus.com every day. There's something you should also know about me. You're going to be impressionable, meaning you're going to be on social media, or you're going to be doing Google searches, or over here on YouTube, and you're going to see someone doing something and you're going to go, that, if I want to have what that person has, I have to be like Lauren. I need to offer what Lauren's doing. I need to whatever. And that's not true. That's you trying to be me. And that's not going to get you very far. Instead, if you show up as yourself and you're honest with yourself. In fact, I got a quick story for you. I recently got to do a presentation in front of some high schoolers at the high school that I went to. They actually took a field trip to my house. And during this presentation, one of the little girls raised her hand and she asked the question, how did you get to be so confident? And it actually only took me a beat to answer her. I said, I think the reason that I'm so confident, number one, I've been doing this for a while, but I said, number two, I am aware of my weaknesses. I have a lot of them. I am aware of them and I'm okay with them. Meaning I don't beat myself up over the things I'm not good at. I'm at peace with them. And I'm aware of my strengths and I know how to leverage them, and I'm proud about them and I celebrate them. And so I think a lot of people lack confidence because they don't acknowledge their strengths and they focus on their weaknesses and they beat themselves up over it. That does not equal feeling confident about what you're doing. I am at peace with my weaknesses. I am not domestic. I will never be a good cook in my life. There are a lot of things that I'm not good at, but I'm good at marketing. I'm good at business. I'm good at talking to people. There are a lot of things that I am good at, and I double down on those things. And that's why I come across confident. The flip side of that, though, is because I double down on my strengths, I have been able to build a business off of those strengths, not off of what I see other people doing or trying to be who I think that I need to be, right? I get to double down on what I'm good at. And I encourage you to do the same thing. If you're showing up as yourself, be honest with yourself. Where are your strengths? Are you insanely organized? Are you a creative? Are you awesome at Excel spreadsheets? Are you a writer? Do you like to talk like me? Like, what is it? What are your strengths? And if you're really showing up as your true self, like think about your best friends or your spouse or wherever you are your truest self, what comes out and how do you double down on those things in your business? And if you start talking about those things, instead of just going out looking for clients and trying to make everybody else happy and doing what they want you to do, you're going to find success a lot faster. Okay. The third reason why you want to show up as yourself and why this is going to help you get more clients inside of your business is because if you are really being honest with yourself, you also have more self-love and self-respect. And so things like boundaries, pricing become a lot easier because you know how to put yourself first rather than how to try to put on a people-pleasing front to try to appease the people that you're working with. And what happens there is that when you respect yourself, you will actually attract clients who respect you as well. When you understand your worth, you will attract clients who are willing to pay for that worth. It is like a congruency / alignment in the universe. If you don't respect yourself, it is like not possible to have clients who are going to respect you. It's not going to work. There's no balance. There's no reciprocity with that. So it's not only a good strategy to be yourself to attract clients and show your quirks and your nuances and your strengths and display all of these things confidently. But it's also imperative that you do so if you want to have a business that's not going to make you burn out because you're not charging enough and you're not enforcing boundaries, because you don't actually know who you are and you're not standing your ground. So it's kind of this attraction universe marketing thing. And it might sound a little woo, but I promise you, tap into it, like ditch the strategies for just a second and just go be who you are, go be the best version of yourself with a heart for other people. That's what I will say. Like, if you're out there being arrogant and only caring about yourself, like that's also what you're going to get. But I'm assuming if you're attracted to Free Mama TV, that you're probably someone who actually cares about helping other people. And so if you lead with that, but you're being genuine to who you are and your strengths and your interests, it's going to come back to you tenfold. Okay. The last thing that I want to say about being yourself, we already talked about, like, don't try to be me. Don't try to be someone else on the internet. Like, search, figure out who you are. And it's already inside of you. It's just something that you've been taught to suppress pretty much your entire life because you have this goal of being accepted. What I also want to remind you is, like, I literally launched the Free Mama movement talking about my miscarriage story, because my miscarriage is what gave me the courage and push from a really low point in my life to quit my 9 to 5 and go into this world of virtual work full time. And I don't know that I would have ever had that courage without that story. And so my good friend Ryan sent me this book called Chase the Lion. And in it is one of my now all-time favorite quotes that says, "We expect great stories without great conflict." So I share that because back when I was afraid of what everybody thought, I was like, I don't have some rags to riches story. We hear about Oprah and all these people who, even my mentor, she lived in her car, like they real stories of struggle. And I'm like, I just had a miscarriage. Like we can start to downplay our stories, but your stories will build connection with other people. You don't have to make something up. You don't have to have some crazy thing to touch someone else's life. You just have to have the courage to be vulnerable enough to talk about it and to share what's going on and then how you kind of came out of it. Again, I always thought, like, I still think sometimes I'm like, no one cares about my life. My life is actually like really boring, but to other people who aspire to have my life, it's really interesting. So just try not to cover up who you are or what you've been through because of shame or guilt or fear or whatever, because in my experience, it's through sharing those great conflicts that is what has contributed to my great story. That and a willingness to actually go out and be brave enough to put it out in the world. So remember, we started today's video with my friend who was afraid that people were going to figure out that she wasn't perfect, that she didn't have it together all the time. But to her and to all of you, I want to say, number one, perfect doesn't exist. And if it did, it would be subjective. But also, we think that our imperfections are what are going to prevent us from being successful, when in reality, your imperfections are what make you you. And that is literally like the secret ingredient to your success. Your willingness to talk about it will speed up the know, like, trust factor that literally gets people to buy from you. So combine today's message with some strategies, whether you're sharing this on social media, video, in person with people, it really doesn't matter. At the end of the day, it's about sharing your story and then sharing your offer. And if you continue to show up and do that, then you will connect with the people who will hire you, and it will probably change your life for forever. Not just because it will fill your bank account, but because you will be the truest and freest version of you. Woo! Okay, things just got kind of serious. If you enjoyed today's video, let me know. Make sure you subscribe to this channel, like it. We got some new fun stuff coming up here on Free Mama TV as well. If you hit the bell, you'll be notified every Tuesday when a new video gets released. And I'd love to hear from you down in the comments below. Who are you? What makes you you? Come talk to me on this channel. I'm in here in the comments all the time. Let's strike up a conversation and see if we can connect you with other like-minded people. Speaking of which, if you are not already a member of the Free Mom Facebook group, you can find a link to that down below. Make sure you join us over there so you can connect with over 40,000 other women who are also working on being themselves, getting connected with clients, and living a totally awesome guilt-free life. We will see you next time. Okay. Okay. Oh my God, we're seriously. Oh, and here comes the husband making all kinds of noise. We're going to pause. We're so happy to work from home with our partner. Okay. He's like, you're always doing videos. I'm like, it's the part of my business I like. I need like a studio or something. It's all good.